Okay, Carl, one of the things that I've been impressed with in a term that you use that is very endearing, and I've seen the overall effects of it, but you talk about something about 100 days of soldiering. Where did this 100 days of soldiering come from, and what impact do you feel it had with your team?
This is, I'll tell you, I get a little emotional about it. 100 Days of Soldiering actually came from General Barry McCaffrey and Joe Bardo during Operation Desert Storm. As we went over to the storm, Joe Bardo brought us all together as a group, brought his leaders together. And I remember we were standing at the berm prior, it's the large berm prior to going into Iraq. And he brought all his leaders onto the place where we thought we would be crossing in and starting this battle. And I remember Joe looking at all of the leaders, and he made a comment that just really struck me to my core. First comment was this. Actually, he made two that just really struck home. One was, he said, if you've got a God, you need to get with that God and make sure you got it right. Second comment he said was, if you don't have a God, you need to find one. Because here, shortly, we're going to cross this berm and we're going to fight for 100 days. So that's where he initiated the 100 days. But what he brought us there for was to prepare us for the battle that was ahead. And this is where he really tied in the 100 days of soldiering. He said, for the next 100 days, I promise you this, if you give me 100 days of soldiering, I promise you that you're going to make it back. What he was saying was, in the next 100 days, we're going to prepare like there's no tomorrow to attack that berm that we were going into. Now, in Joe's mind, he knew exactly what he was talking about. He was talking about bring us back. That didn't necessarily mean we were going to come back alive, but what that meant was that every soldier was going to come back. That we would make sure every single soldier on that battlefield would be brought back to their family. And for 100 days, it was hell. I was in a place that was unfamiliar. I was doing things that pushed me to the absolute core of my being. I thought that I was trained as a soldier prior to going there. I'd had all the training, I'd gone through my advanced officer training courses, and I thought I was prepared. But what that 100 days did for me was that it absolutely made me ready when I crossed the berm, ready to fight. And the interesting thing was, after this whole deal was over, I asked Joe about it. I said, Joe, tell me about this 100 days of soldiering, because I know I counted the days down of these 100 days. And his comment was, he said, Karl, in the 100 days, what did you see? And it was interesting. You could see people progress through this 100 days. At the 30-day mark, actually, when he initiated what we were going to do, immediately there were people put their fist up, and you could hear the chatter going around. But as a leader, he demanded that this was 100 days, and we're not going to take a break, and we're going to do it, and if you don't like it, then leave. He'll send you back to the rear. 100 days we did this, day in, day out, every night. People cried. It pushed us, like I said, to the very core. At 30 days, there were people that had washed out. And Derek, if you remember, one of the things I told you is, in this 100 days of soldiering, I'm going to take casualties. But at the end, when it's finished, I know that I'm going to have soldiers that are going to be able to fight this battle that we have. 30 days, I saw people starting to put their fists down. And as general managers, I think when we come in and we try to create change, people put their fist up and they want to fight you. But if you've got to hang in there and you've got to keep soldiering through that, and when you do, they'll put their fist down. And you can clearly see on the P&Ls how this 30, 60, 90 days, you can see the progress not only from the club, but you can see it from individual departments, and you can see it in their metrics. So the bottom line, long story short, is it started in Desert Storm with Barry McCaffrey and Joe Bardo, and it's 100 days of soldiering that says we're going to prepare you like you've never been prepared. And I have taken that same 100 days and we've used it in other corporations when I was doing consulting, and we basically gave them 100 days of soldiering, and we were able to see a change. And we've used it here at Lifetime, specifically in Cary, and it's made all the difference in the world.
Okay, so Karl, you just touched upon what you would see, and you started to briefly get into it, but I want you to explain, if you had to break down and explain what you were going to expect to see from your managers during this 100 days of soldiering, what would that look like?
Well, get ready for a fight. Get ready for a fight. Not from everybody. I use this analogy, Derek. When culture and change get in a fight, if it's a head-to-head fight between culture and change, and when you're talking about 100 days, it's a change. It's a culture change. But if culture and change get in a fight, well, I can tell you, culture wins every time. Good culture, bad culture, it doesn't matter. Change will never win. The only way you can create an unfair fight is to infuse leaders. That's how you change a culture. You change a culture with leaders. So when you go in as a leader and you talk about 100 days, the first thing that's going to happen is you're taking people out of a comfort zone, and they're going to hear it. So they're going to put their fist up. That's where you've got to be a complete leader in this, and you can't back down from it. So the very first thing you're going to see is people pushing back on 100 days. They're going to push back on you. But what you're looking for is there's going to be one or two that's in your group, one or two department heads, they're going to get it. And that's all it takes. Because what you're going to do is you're going to rally your forces around those one or two department heads that get it. And then those one or two, honestly, you're going to get to about 30 days. And these 8 or 9 that don't get it and got their fist up, you're going to take casualties in 30 days. You're going to find out people that want to win and people that don't want to win. You've got these one or two that are with you in this. They're going to be the support that's going to make in the first 30 days these 8 or 9 drop their fist. And it's going to happen one at a time. And this is what you're going to see. It happens in these companies that I've worked with. It's happened here in Cary. 2 becomes 4. 4 becomes 6. 6 becomes 8. Before you know it, you've got a team of people that are so accountable to what they're doing, and so accountable to not only this club, but they're so accountable to the company that they're holding each other accountable. And there's almost, I guess you asked about phases, there's 3 phases, and I would break it down into 30, 60, 90. The first 30 days, it's a hard road. Most people are going to think, man, where is this guy coming from? 60 days, watch what happens. Like clockwork, in 60 days, the people that have their fist up, they'll say, I can't take it, they'll attrit. They'll leave. They'll leave out. That's when your team gets to what I call the tipping point at 60 days. At that 60-day mark, watch the club turn at 60 days. Watch your people start holding each other accountable. What I did at 60 days, Derek, is I actually removed myself back from the huddle. They're very accountable, but watch them start to develop, watch them start to grow. We talk about building succession plans. This 100 Days of Soldiering is just that. It's the start of a succession plan that you're building. And at 60 days, your team will start to gel because the people that don't want to get on board will actually leave. I think I lost 2 in this process, and my team only got stronger. The team here in Cary absolutely got stronger. At 90 days, looking at the P&Ls, I believe I went from 30 days, my contribution margin was 1,500, which is extremely low. That's what I was stepping into. I think I went to 15,000 at the 60-day mark, and I'm thinking at the 90 days it was somewhere around 50,000 contribution margin, somewhere in that area. And you know what? The team accepted that. The team started driving that. And you'll see at the 90-day mark, you as a general manager, you're just going to step back because they're so accountable. They're holding each other accountable in the